Greetings. I'm going to be reading a script for my video to make sure that I don't miss anything and get everything out coherently. But hi, my name is Daniel Harmon. I'm a white male from Claremont, California, with roots in the Midwest. I'm straight, I'm privileged, I'm Christian, and I'm in Claremont because my wife Emily got a full tuition scholarship to Claremont School of Theology, where she just graduated with her Master's of Divinity. I work full-time for the Community of Christ Church as an associate financial officer and as a youth minister, and am currently in my final class as a Community of Christ Seminary student. I'm from the Midwest through and through, so living in Southern California has been a little bit odd for me. I like to think that I resist the daily cultural norms of passivity and individualism that seem to be magnified in California even beyond the rest of the United States. I grew up in a family where our own comfort and privileges were not simply for our own benefit, but were to be shared with those around us, and especially with those who were in need. My parents have always been what I like to call full-time ministers, in the sense that they carry their hope in God's vision everywhere that they go, and not just in the pew on Sunday morning. I try to live my life with that same sense of divine seeking, even in the seemingly mundane, or what others would call ordinary. So what is right? Growing up, I always thought that what was right was determined by how you treat people, because that's what my parents taught me, and it's also what they modeled. It wasn't until later in my life that I began to consider the ethical implications of the way that I treat creature and planet. Recycling, agricultural ethics, and the implications of consumption were not really part of my worldview, primarily because I was not educated about them. It was in high school that I first began to develop a passion for eco-justice, a lot of which was stemmed from education I received from my older sister, who at the time was a student at Graceland University. And it was my first year in college that I became a vegetarian, my first year out of college that I became a vegan. All of these decisions were, of course, rooted in this passion for eco-justice and this desire to live out my ethical framework and the choices that I made on a daily basis. And for me, all of this is really filtered through the lens of a scriptural passage from Community of Christ Doctrine and Covenants, 163:4b, which reads that the earth, lovingly created as an environment for life to flourish, shudders in distress because creation's natural and living systems are becoming exhausted from carrying the burden of human greed and conflict. Humankind must awaken from its illusion of independence and unrestrained consumption without lasting consequences. These words are formational to my own discipleship, and I believe that a broader understanding of them in the world will lead to justice for all. So how are we to live? I believe that on this earth we need to live mutually, recognizing that we are divinely and spiritually connected to each other and also connected to the earth. There are words from the Doctrine and Covenants 163 once again, verse 4a, just a simple phrase that has been really informative to me in the way that I treat people and in the way that I view the world. And that short phrase is, "In their welfare resides your welfare." And I think that these words articulate well the calling of community, and in my own vision of discipleship, the message and the vision of Christ. When I was in college taking classes, one of my professors, Bob Mesley, always provided a guideline from his own father, Carl Mesley, that I still use to this day. And in any dilemma, particularly one that is theological, the question, would a loving God do this, or would a loving God be involved in this, became essential. Understanding God is all-loving, with no exceptions, has helped shape my worldview of who God is, of how I am to be in relationship with God, and how God works and moves in the world. I believe that when we recognize that our welfare is tied to one another, and believe in and understand this all-loving God that became the lens of everything that I understand, we will begin to reveal God's peaceable kingdom here on earth.